Blood clots. What's going on, Secoya Nation? Dr. Shannon bringing today's wellness wisdom. Blood clots. People have talked a lot about this, especially in the post-COVID, or I guess someone still tested for COVID today. We heard about the fact that they're still testing for it is remarkable, but here we are anyway. So regardless of where you get blood clots from, it's not from sitting too long on a plane or things like that. A lot of times people have the electromagnetic field in their body becomes disintegrated enough where the charges that normally repel the red blood cells, they end up losing their charge, so they start stacking on each other. It's called rouleau. But anyway, for a different day. So there's different areas that can affect the body. So you can have arteries and veins. People get them in their eyes, lung clots. Usually they're considered as they start somewhere and then they travel somewhere else. Like you have a blockage in your leg and that chips off and then floats up and then goes into the lungs. So anyway, so when you think about a baseline understanding from the brain-body connection of blood clots, think about things like someone had love denied. So think of red blood cells and things like that, really based on like life-giving. Love is one of Maslow's baseline hierarchy of needs. So when love is being withheld or love is being denied, that can cause a lot of stress on a person, and that can lead to a blood clot, if you will. And if there is a situation where it's almost like a shameful thing, something it feels dirty or impure or disgusting the way they were treated, that can contribute to it or trigger it the same way. If someone is feeling a devaluation, like thinking less of themselves as a result of something someone said or didn't say or didn't do, then that can be a self-devaluation issue that can precipitate, and that's a fancy word for trigger or initiate the brain-body disconnect that then causes blood clots, if you will. When you think of the arteries carry blood away from the heart, and veins carry blood to the heart, if you're not familiar with that process. So arteries, the aortic artery comes off the heart, you got dissecting aortic aneurysms and stuff like that, all these other things that are for a different type of conversation. Typically the arteries are related to the family. Okay, so if you think about a parent who maybe they're in their latter years of their life and they really need to depend on their children, they feel like they can't really rely on their children, that can cause a blood clot, if you will. Conversely, if a child feels like they can't rely on their parents, and I mean blood clots are much less common in children than they are in people in latter years of their life, but it happens in both ways. So if a person feels shamed by their family or disowned, if you will, like you can't come home, we're not allowed here, we don't, basically telling you don't love you anymore, that can be a trigger for a blood clot, if you will. So if that happens in your life or in someone's life, just help them understand that. If you want to accomplish something, and for example, you have a domineering parent or something like that, and you feel like your family or your parent or someone you care about, they prevent you from sort of spreading your wings and flying or attempting something you want to do or things along those lines, that can be a trigger. Remember, it's a brain-body disconnect. The blood cells are part of your immune system, okay? And so everything has its role. Those are the arteries. Now, if we talk about the veins are, of course, bringing the blood back to the liver to be cleansed. And, kidneys and liver are what dump toxins, process toxins, things like that. So, let me correct myself. The arteries can't depend on the children, and the veins can't depend on the parents. So I mixed those up in my head, so I apologize. So just to clarify, arteries can't depend on the children. The parent can't depend on the children, and the veins, are the child can't depend on the parents. It's got to get it straight in my own head. So when you are a person in a family and you feel like you've stepped out of the morals or the values or the rules of your family, and then you're criticized, shamed for it, or whatever like that, that can affect your veins. And that can affect your, sort of coming home, you're denied because you stepped outside of those values, lived outside the values the family has aspired to or said that you were raised in, and that could be a trigger. If you think about the lungs can be all this stuff, but also like fearful or timid, grief, fear of being exposed, fear of failure. Those are all things that tie into the lungs. So if you haven't one land there, because it doesn't land there by no reason, your body's got a way of processing these things. So when we get a blood clot in the eye, so people have like, think of conjunctivitis or like, a clot in the eye, that could be where you are not acknowledged by your family or someone you love or someone you care about or someone you esteem, someone you value, someone you admire, or you're not acknowledged by them, not seen by them, things along those lines. Those are the kind of language we use. And then for the eye, it's like if I have my eye on, I want to do that, I want to accomplish that, I want to conquer that. And if you're unable to do so, feeling unable to conquer that, achieve that, whatever it might be that you have your eye set on, your mind set on, that can then cause a potential trigger for a clot. So remember, these are the brain-body disconnects. This is not comprehensive information about why blood clots happen, things like that. So that's for a different day. But I want to bring that information to you. So if you felt like this was beneficial for someone who deals with clots or has dealt with clots, maybe they're post-COVID, maybe they're whatever, share with them because it helps them understand like what kind of significant conflicts they have in their life that are unresolved. And then hopefully they can go about resolving those conflicts. Because if we don't resolve the conflicts, it's ultimately going to take a toll on our health. The greatest predictor of your health over the long term is the quality of your relationships. So if you have any strained relationships in your life anywhere, and it seems that you might say, well, that's ridiculous. How could I not have a strained relationship? It doesn't have to happen that way. Because you can change how you show up, you can change how you speak, you can change how you act and react and things like that. So the quality of your health over your lifetime is determined by the quality of your relationships. So just keep that in mind and then take it to the bank because good relationships lead to good health. All right? So much love to you guys. Appreciate you. Comment down below if you have questions or ideas, whatever it is, and we'll be happy to comment on them later. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.